Hi, I'm Merri Cvetan, Goodwill's home decor expert. The holidays are coming up on us really fast, and I want to show you some simple projects that you can make for hardly any money at all on items that you can find at Goodwill. Holiday sweaters are a big thing at Goodwill, and not only can you wear them, but I'm going to show you how you can make some stockings to hang on your mantle. We're going to make little mitten ornaments to hang on your tree, and then for the perfect hostess gift, we're going to take the sleeves off and make wine bottle covers. So the first thing you're going to need is a holiday sweater. I chose the snowman one because it has a nice overall design. So out of this one sweater, we'll get 2 stockings, I'll get 2 wine bottle sleeves, and then we'll get a whole bunch of little mittens out of the remnants. So in addition to the sweater, you'll need a pattern, you'll need backing fabric, you'll need some fake fur to make a cuff, you'll need some raffia or yarn to hang it, and then you need scissors. So you also need stick pins, a needle and thread, and if you have a sewing machine, the project will go much faster. You want to start out by laying your sweater flat on your table, and then you want to arrange your pattern so that you cover up the majority of the design on the sweater. And then pin it in place, cut around your pattern. Now the next step is to cut out your backing, and this is just a piece of fabric left over from a robe that I purchased at Goodwill to use as backing. And the key to doing the backing, especially if it's a 2-sided fabric, is to lay your pattern the opposite of the way you laid it on the sweater. I'm just going to pin it to my backing fabric, cut around your pattern. And what you want to do is sew right sides together. So you're going to flip the stocking pattern onto the right side of your backing and then pin it together so that when we sew it and we turn it inside out, we have a nice backing and we have the decorated front. And I like to pin things together so it's held in place while I'm sewing. Well, if you don't have a sewing machine, it is simple to just do a running stitch all the way around by hand. Just take your couple of minutes. And since I have a sewing machine, I'm going to show you how fast and easy it is to sew on a machine. So just slowly go through so you don't catch any of the sweater threads in your needle. There, so now I'm going to trim the threads. We want to trim off any excess. And then I'm going to clip the curves so that when we turn it inside out, it's a nice smooth transition. Okay, after we clip the curves, now we want to turn it right side out. Make it all nice and smooth. Okay, so to put the fake fur cuff at the top, measure the top. This is 6 inches, so I'll double that, 12 inches, and add an inch for the seam allowance. And I think a cuff about 3 inches deep would be nice, so I'll add a little bit for seam allowance. So I'll make it 3.5 inches. So it'll be 13 by 3.5 inches. Maybe you'll find a sweater or a shirt at Goodwill that has fake fur that you can cut off and use. So you just want to roll back the top of the stocking a couple of inches, and then you want to pin the fake fur, the back side, to the back side of the stocking. So you've pinned it all the way around, and when you're done, you want to be able to just flip over the cuff. So I'm just going to do a really simple running stitch along the edge of my fake fur. So now I've sewn it all the way around, but now I just want to finish these edges. So there's a nice stitched cuff, and this time I am going to take some white thread and just a little skinny little running stitch just to hold it all together. Knot it to hold it in place. Okay. Now I'm just going to flip it over, and we have a nice fake fur cuff, and then the raw edges are all covered up. Okay, so the last step will be for the hanger. I'm just going to cut a piece of raffia about 4 inches long or so and fold it in half, and then I'm just going to stitch it inside at the seam. Here's the back that we used from the robe that I found at Goodwill, the front of the sweater, and it's ready to hang on your mantle and fill with presents. So the next project is how to make a wine sleeve out of the sleeves of the sweater. So we're going to end up with 3 gifts in one, perfect hostess gift. So the first step is to measure the wine bottle, and this one's measuring 12 inches. And I'm just going to fold back the little decorative edge of the sleeve cuff, but I don't want to cover up the embroidered decoration there. So I'm going to measure 12 inches from the fold and add 1.5 inches for the seam allowance. And I'm just going to eyeball it and cut it straight across. Now the next step is just to turn it inside out. And the bottom is, just need to do a little running stitch at the bottom, the cut edge, so that I can pull it up tight to create a bottom of the sleeve. So the line doesn't fall out when you put it in. Okay, so now you want to pull your gathers tight and hold it all together with a big knot. And then I want to just turn it right side out. Then insert the wine bottle. And there we go. Now I want to finish it off with a piece of raffia. Okay, so for the final project with our sweaters, I'm going to make little mittens out of the remnants of the sweaters, and that way you can decorate your tree, hang them on the wine bottles, give them as little gifts, and you're using every bit of the sweater. So the first thing we need is a mitten pattern, and I just kind of cut out freehand a little mitten. It can be as big or small as you want, and I'm going to center it right on this snowflake on the back of this sweater, and then I'm going to of course pin it in place so it's easier to cut. Cut around my pattern. I'm going to remove the pins, and then I'm going to use the same pattern for the backing fabric. I use the same fabric that I had cut out of an old house coat that I had bought at Goodwill. But as I did on the stocking, I want to be sure and reverse the pattern. And pin that in place, and then just cut it out the same way. So now I have a mirror image of my two pattern pieces, the right side of the backing, the right side of the sweater. So you put the right sides together so that you're sewing on the wrong side of the fabric. You could certainly sew this by machine, but it's an easy project to do by hand. It won't take you long at all. You just want to do a simple little running stitch. And when you come to the thumb, you want to sew in just a little bit farther than the edge, and then come back. So where I stitched in a little bit, I'm going to take my scissors and just cut in. Be careful not to cut my stitches, so that when I turn it, I have more of a thumb. Okay, now you just want to turn it right side out. So now we have a little thumb separate from the rest of the mitten. And I'm going to take the raffia to make a hook so it can hang on your tree. Maybe cut 3 inches or so. I'm going to fold this in half. And then I'm going to stitch it to the seam like I did on the stockings. Now in just a couple hours of work, I got 2 stockings to hang on the mantle. I got 2 sleeves for the Hostess gift wine bottles, and as many mittens as I can possibly come out, all out of one sweater. So from all of us at Goodwill, have a very happy holiday.